do so. I'm gonna be talking about Succubus and and uh and pedophiles tomorrow.
Pedophile.
Satan was the original pedophile.
He's original.
He robbed Adam and Eve of their innocence. You know, he's the original pedophile.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? So,
Wow.
They was babies.
yeah, they was babies.
That's right.
They was babies.
Yeah. The first, yeah. I like that. That's correct.
Didn't know nothing. I mean, they knew something. They were still, they were babies.
They're naive.
Naive. They knew they weren't supposed to do it, but Satan played on their, innocence or whatnot, childhood, behavior, whatever. But
Wow.
but yeah,
Wow.
that came to me earlier this week.
Thank you.
But Lord, yeah.
Woo.
But this is Enoch 86, and try to read it quickly because I'm gonna go to Enoch 90. It's 86 to 90.
You go on to 90, 86 to 90.
Chapter 86 to chapter 90.
Oh, you gonna read 2 chapters, 3 chapters,
Yeah,
4 chapters.
yeah. This 90. The other ones are shorter. This 90 is the long one, and this one, well, 89 to 90 is longer. But it starts off, and again I saw with my eyes. That's what yours start off. And again I saw with my eyes.
It says, again, I perceived them, and they began to strike and to swallow each other.
Swallow, strike one another. I think that was which one does it start? It say it might be a little bit up. And again I saw with my eyes as I slept, and I saw it might be 85, 80, 84. And again I saw with my eyes.
In a dream?
Yeah, it probably worded different, but
And explain it to all you again, my son.
heavens above, and a star fell from heaven. Maybe it's 84. It's around there, I know, because that 86 is like.
He said, I looked at that 104, and I came forth first. He's the first star that fell.
Yeah, there you go. Which one is that?
87.
All right. So this one is 80. It started 86. So that one started 87. All right. It's worded a little different. It's like the King James with the NIV. It's just it's gonna sound a little different here and here, but it's the same. All right. So I start reading this, and I start reading this because about Succubus. Succubus got horns. They got tails. I mean, they unique looking beings. So, this goes into it about this. But it starts off and says, and again I saw with mine eyes as I slept. Now this Enoch. And I saw the heaven above, and behold, a star from heaven. A star fell from heaven. This is Lucifer. And it arose and ate and pastured amongst those oxen. Meaning like the oxen or the people, Adam, Eve, stuff like that. And after that I saw the large and the black oxen. It's okay.
86.
All right, it's probably just a chapter over or something.
That one. Right. He's reading this one right.
Yeah. Okay. It's verse 2. And after that I saw the large and black oxen, and behold, they all changed their stalls and pastures and their cattle, and began to live with each other. And again I saw in the vision, and looked towards heaven, and behold, I saw many stars. These are so Lucifer fell first, and then Lucifer took some of the other fallen angels with Lucifer, descend and cast themselves down from heaven to that first star, Lucifer, and they became bulls among those cattle and pastures with them amongst them. So they came out here, and so they was with the oxen, and then they were mighty when they came to the planet Earth. That's why it's worded that they were bulls.
Right.
And I looked at them and saw, and behold, they all let their privy members. Now this is gonna be a big thing. Now a lot of people don't know this. A lot of people don't know this. A lot of people don't know this. This is gonna be real deep. More or less gonna be real deep.
I can't wait, yo.
More or less.
You gonna be able to take the bar.
I wish you was here tomorrow in person, but
About
the privy member. A lot of people, a brother was talking about this the other few weeks ago. I was listening to something he was talking about, and I thought about this too. But this thing in the world right now. Oh man, 9 inches, 10 inches, 12 inches, 13 inches. This is a big thing. If you ain't packing this, and a lot of people don't know this, every time these large penises are spoken in the Bible, it's spoken as a negative. Physically, a woman, not a cervix, her vagina only goes like to about 5 inches deep, and the average man, I'm okay. I ain't saying this because me no purpose, I'm straight. I'm just, but I'm just saying that if that's the normal makeup of a woman, why would God create a man with such a large male member? Something's up here, because if anybody who ever took sex ed or talked to the opposite sex about sex, they'll express to you at a certain size, it begins to hurt. So why would God make a man, his natural Adam, to engage with a woman and it would hurt her? So, and that goes into the wheats and tares. And that's when Yahushua said, who has sowed these tares amongst us? The enemy has done this. So that's what I was talking about a few months ago, about not all people that look like you and me are the seed of Yah. They the seed of the devil. And this whole large male member, from my getting research, there's something up with that. There's something up with that. And it's more so on a negative, but and these are their fathers. Verse 4, and I looked at them and saw, and behold, they all let out their privy members like horses.
Donkeys.
Yeah, like horses. And the women of Zion had this bad, because when they were in Mizraim, the man of Mizraim, who are not the seed of Shem, they had members that was the size of donkeys. And the women of Zion lusted after them. And we don't hear no scripture talking about the man of Zion had male members that was as of donkeys. Not putting no man down. Zion straight. Zion is straight. But I'm just saying.
So you said Mizraim, man, it was terrors, man. They can have some of the demon stuff in them like that.
They love demon worship.
And a lot of the people, the pharaohs and all those were Nephilim.
Yes.
Those weren't just normal somebody up in there. Those are the fallen angels' children that was running that land. And just like a lot of other kingdoms, still to this very day. So I keep like horses, and begin to cover the cows of the oxen. So they begin to use their large member to cover the cows, the natural people. And they probably got game too, and they perverting the women to make them like this. And once you
they were doing cows, horses, anything that they can stick their member into. That's what they were doing.
Oh no! All these are metaphors for people. In this one, the cows in this one, I understand we're talking about bestiality, but this right here, this is talking about the cows are the natural people, like the seed of Adam. And the bulls, those are the fallen angels and stuff like that. But I know what you're talking about, but they just using a lot of metaphors in this version of Enoch right here. Okay, and verse 4. And I looked at them and saw, and behold, all let their privy members like portions, and began to cover the cows of the oxen, and they all became pregnant. So what did the daughters of Eve do with the fallen angels? They got pregnant by them. Now this is what they bore. They all became pregnant, the natural woman, Yah, the women of Yah, and bore elephants, camels, and asses.
Good.
Goliath, all these little talking about what's it? Little trolls. Now, what they bore was monsters. And that's what it's talking about, from the greatest to the smallest. Okay? And pregnant and bore elephants, camels, and asses. Now, this is all metaphorically speaking. This isn't literally saying that they bore this. It's just the example of these beings. Verse 5, and all the oxen feared them. So the elephants, the camels, and the asses, those were the Nephilim, the fallen angel offspring. And then the oxen, they feared them and were affrighted at them and began to bite with them their teeth, and to devour and to gore with their horns. So when the fallen angels, Nephilim, came on the scene, they began to destroy the planet and destroy Adam's seed. That's when, they was eating people, and so on and so on. And they begin, moreover, to devour those oxen, the natural man, the man of Adam. And behold, all the children of the earth began to tremble and quake before them and to flee from them. And again, my point in bringing that main point was the attributes of a succubus. She got the horns, they got these tails, they got these certain attributes in here. And I was amazed because I read this a few months ago, and I was like, man, wow. You know what I'm saying? And again, I saw, chapter 87, and again I saw how they, the fallen angels, began to gore each and their Nephilim children, and begin to gore each other, to devour each other, and the earth began to cry aloud. And I raised my eyes again to heaven, and I saw in the vision, and behold, there came forth from heaven beings who were like white men, not the white man in the sense of Caucasian. You're talking about angels. Yeah, the Melchies. Okay. And I raised my eyes and again to heaven, and I saw the vision. Behold, there came forth from heaven beings who were like white men, and 4 went forth from that place, and 3 with them. And those 3 that had last come forth grasped me by my hand, and took me up away from this generation of the earth, and raised me up to a lofty place, and showed me a tower raised high above the earth, and all the hills were lowered. And one said unto me, remain here until thou seest everything that befall those elephants, camels, and asses, and the fallen stars, the Nephilim children, and the fallen angels, and also the oxen, and of all men. Now, right, this is getting to the flood. And I saw one of those 4 who had come forth first, talking about one of the fallen angels, and he seized that first, Lucifer, that first star which had fallen from the heaven, and bound it hand and foot, and cast it into an abyss. Now that abyss was narrow and deep, and horrible and dark, and one of them drew a sword. It's talking about one of the white man, the Melchies. One of them drew a sword and gave it to the elephants and camels and asses, and they began to smite each other, and the whole earth quaked of them. So Yah said, just like what Satan does to Zion to this day, put guns in the hood, Y'all put guns in their hood. Kill each other. There's some other stuff in here, and that was y'all plan. I'm going to stir up confusion and hate between the fallen angels' children, so y'all just kill each other. It's funny, and I was thinking about that. Lucifer took that and did that to Zion. You know? Well, you did it to my children, I'm going to do it to your children. Okay? Verse 3, and I was beholding in the vision, lo, one of the four had come forth, stoned them from heaven, and gathered and took all the great stars, the fallen angels, who privy members, this emphasis about sexual parts, this is a big thing, were like those of horses, and bound them all hand and foot, and cast them in an abyss of the earth. And one of those four went, one of the four angels, went to that white bull and instructed him in secret without him being terrified. Now I do believe either this white bull right here is talking about Abraham or Yahusha. I'm not 100%, but I think it's talking about more so Abraham here. He was born a bull and became a man, and built for himself a great vessel, and dwelt thereon, and 3 bulls dwelt with him in that vessel, and they were covered in. And again I raised my eyes towards heaven, and I saw a lofty roof, and 7 waters torrents thereof, and those torrents flowed with much water into an enclosure. Now we get into the flood. And I saw again, and behold, fountains were opened on the surface of the great enclosure, and that water began to swell and rose upon the surface. And I saw that enclosure until all its surface was covered with water, and the darkness, and the mist increased upon it. And I looked at the height of the water, of that water. That water had risen above the highest of that enclosure that was streaming over that enclosure, and it stood upon the earth, and the cattle of that enclosure were gathered together, until I saw how they shook and were swallowed up and perished in the water. But that vessel floated, the ark, on the water, while all the oxen and elephants and camels and asses, the Nephilim, sank to the bottom with all the animals. See how they make a difference?
Yeah,
So,
like
Noah.
Noah.
Mm-hmm. This is talking about Noah.
Yeah.
So that I could no longer see them, and they were not able to escape, but perished and sank into the depths. And
yeah,
go ahead.
You gotta look at it too, man. That's why the water was over the mountains, man. I always wondered why the water was always over the mountains, man. It was so water because to cover everything, so nothing would live. All breath, life that's on the earth would die. And that's the reason why.
All they.
Nothing was tall. Anything in the ocean.
For the 8.
The 8.
Oh yeah,
3 sons and the 3, his wife and his 3 daughters-in-law.
That's true. And again I saw in the vision until those waters torrents were removed from that high roof, and the chains of the earth were leveled up, and other abyss were opened. Then the water began to run down into those until the earth became visible, but that vessel settled on the earth, and darkness retired and light appeared. But that white bull, which had been a man, came out that vessel. Well, maybe it's talking about Noah. It's talking about Abraham a little later. This is talking about Noah. Correction. Because Noah came out the vessel. And the 3 bulls with him. There you go. And the sons. And one of those 3 was white like that bull, and one of them was red as blood, and one black. Who was the black? Ham.
I know, man.
Ham.
The one was
Good job, man. Good job. I was having a hard time.
I got
There was
that one,
Noah.
yeah.
There was Noah and his three
Yeah,
sons.
Jeff, Steph,
Gotcha.
and him.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And but one of them was like unto that white bull, which was Shem, the righteous. That's the promised seed. Yeah, there we go.
Shem was the red.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And
But
him was the
Yeah,
black.
black.
But we
Black.
come out
Shem.
Shem.
That's right. Not Ham.
Oh,
Ham look like that speaker over there.
man.
Boy. That's the
Yeah,
truth.
they do.
Yeah, that's the truth. That's the truth, man.
They black, right?
Yeah. And that, you know how it is today, like somebody like me, they be like, oh man, you light dang near white. Back then it was like, man, you dark dang near midnight. You know how, Zion, say if your mother was a Hamite or something, obviously the differentiation of the color. Okay. White like that bull, and that white bull departed from them, and they began to bring forth beasts of the field and birds. It's talking about they begin to, there you go. So that there arose different genre: lions, tigers, wolves, dogs, hyenas, wild boars, foxes, squirrels, swine, falcons, vultures, kites, eagles, and ravens. Among them was born a white bull. And they began to bite one another. There we go back to the strife. Because that spirit, because the demon spirit are here.
The spirit can't kill the
Yes,
spirit.
they physically left.
Yeah, the spirit was still living
There
around
you
earlier.
go. And we know about the agreement. They got a short amount. They got their time. But that white bull, which was born amongst them, begat a wild. Now, this is the white bull right here is Abraham. Now, this is Abraham. And they began to bite one another. But that white bull, which was born amongst them, begat a wild ass, who is Ishmael, a wild man. A white bull with him, and he had the other son, Isaac. And the wild asses multiplied, but that bull which was born from him begat a black wild boar, Esau, and a white sheep, Jacob, and the former begot many boars, but that sheep begot 12 sheep. Man, boy, I tell you, boy, I was reading this, boy, I was like, God, boy. Yeah, this is right. This is deep, man. Some deep stuff. Okay. Many flocks. 13. And when those 12 sheep have grown, and we're talking about Joseph now, they gave up one of them to the asses. They gave Joseph up to the Hamites, to the asses.
There you go. Wow, man.
Deep stuff here, man. Deep stuff.
Oh, man.
And those asses again gave up that sheep to the wolves, and that sheep grew up amongst the wolves, and Mizraim, and Yah bought.
You said the Ishmaelites.
The Ishmaelites.
Asses, the Ishmaelites, man.
Yeah.
Those were the asses, man.
Well, there's two, because he called both of them asses. He called Ham asses.
Yes. But the Ishmaelites, man, it took the traders, took Joseph down there to
There you
Mizraim.
go. Because when they was on the path,
Ishmaelite
came, an Ishmaelite came and got him out of there and sold him to the other ass, the Hamite.
That's right. Come on,
Boy,
man.
these asses.
Let's go.
Boy, these asses, boy.
These asses.
Boy.
The asses.
Boy, deep stuff here, man. And the wolves, and they call it the wolves, the Mizraim people. And Yah bought the 11 sheep to live with it and to pasture with it among the wolves. What happened when they went to Mizraim looking for corn, and then Joseph was a made man at that point. And they multiplied and became many flocks of sheep. When Zion went into there, and then that's when Egypt, Mizraim was like, yo, they getting too big. And the wolves began to fear them, and they oppressed them until they destroyed their little ones, and they cast their young into a river of much water. But those sheep began to cry aloud on account of their little ones, and to complain unto their Yah. And a sheep which had been saved, Moses, from the wolves, fled and escaped to the wild asses. And that's what he did. And I saw the sheep how they lamented and cried and besought their Yah with all their might. Now, this is one thing you don't hear a lot of people doing, that they got Yah attention because they sought him with all their might. Until Yah of the sheep descended at the voice of the sheep from a lofty abode and came to them and pastured them. And he called that sheep which had escaped, Moses, the wolves, and spake with it concerning the wolves, that it should admonish them not to touch the sheep. And the sheep went to the wolves according to the word of Yah, and another sheep met it and went with it. Who was with his brother Aaron, his brother Aaron. And the two went and entered together into the assembly of those wolves, Mizraim, the Hamites, and spake with them and admonished them not to touch the sheep from henceforth. And thereupon I saw the wolves, and how they oppressed the sheep exceedingly with all their power, and the sheep cried aloud. And Yah came to the sheep, and they began to smite those wolves. And the wolves began to make lamentations, but the sheep became quiet, forthwith ceased to cry out. And I saw the sheep until they departed from amongst the wolves, but the eyes of the wolves were blinded. They full of hate. And those wolves departed in pursuit of the sheep with all their power. And Yah of the sheep went with them as their leader, and all his sheep followed him. And his face was dazzling and glorious and terrible to behold. Boy, you talk about, man, I don't know what to give you, a hug, or, just, you know what I'm saying? A real, Yahushua's a real man's man, you know what I'm saying? But we know it's all love, though, you know what I'm saying, at the end of the day, you know what I'm saying? There's a lot of respect, you know what I'm saying? Dazzling, you know what I'm saying? Okay, and that's glorious and tremble to behold. But the wolves began to pursue those sheep until they reached a sea of water, and the sea was divided, and the water stood on the side before their face, and their Yah led them, placed himself between them and the wolves. The fire came down. You know how you gonna mess up a baptism? That's rude. You know, you mess about everybody about to get baptized, you come in here starting trouble, you know, it ain't gonna be good for you. Okay? And as those wolves did not yet see the sheep, they proceeded into the midst of that sea. So they probably couldn't even see. Once they got into the sea, Sinai was probably so far ahead. They was like, we know they there. You know, they was probably on the other side.
Yeah, because once the water caved in, all them drowned. I mean, every last one of them. The whole army, everybody that was out there trying to kill them, they got killed.
And y'all probably left, you know, he was like, Moses, everybody left? All right, I'm going to leave. I know they stupid, they going to follow. So y'all probably left the water open, you know what I'm saying? Anybody who want to follow, go ahead.
Yeah, because they said they looked up, and there was nothing but a wall of water.
That's right.
On both sides.
Like a museum.
They was coming through.
Yeah.
And they was on dry land, so they figured that.
We okay.
Yeah. But see, they ain't worshiping Yah. They trying to destroy Yah. Because they believe that Yah was the answer. And they believe that, no, can't nobody be greater than me. So I'm going to go ahead and ride this thing out, and we're going to get them ones.
And you got to think about it, too. These were the Nephilim, the fallen angels' children, and I'm sure they knew the majesty of, even in their fallen state, they looked upon their parents, the fallen angels, like, can't nobody mess with us. You know? They didn't really know Yah, the real album.
Yeah, but see, that's why they went on through. Because he thought he was the man, and he thought he was big time, and I'm going through, and there ain't nothing nobody can do. And let him know.
Let him know quick.
Because once they killed all the firstborn, They should have realized then and let them go instead of trying.
You gotta remember, y'all had a plan. Y'all did his heart again. You gotta remember that when y'all does people's heart and stuff, man, so he can get the glory. You know, just like he said, he was his example. That's what you call in Romans. That it said, "I have mercy who I want mercy," just like you on Judas, man. You know what I'm saying? All that, but he was set up.
The woman with the spines.
There you go. He just all set up thing.
It was his wife that even stirred it up more because she got